What's the best way to tell your friend you don't want to meet because you're scared of orona? There's an XKCD for that. Haunted plague box is the best description of a house. I'd love to meet, but I don't want to risk it. Do you want to video chat though? And repeat every 2 months. Yes, oh god. Last year I moved from FL to CA and everyone back in FL wants to come visit. Like I'd love for everyone to come out, but it's just not safe. They ask every few months and it's always the same answer. Let's wait until spring next year. I mean TBH, it's probably gonna still be around by spring of next year. If the last few historical pandemics are any indication, things won't be back to normal until at least 2022. That's the best case scenario now. In the last few historical pandemics they didn't have access to the technology we have now, especially in the medical field. Plus, one important factor of a pandemic is that you can never truly predict how the disease will evolve. While COVID is still 100% something we need to avoid and it absolutely still is a world health crisis, the virus that's in circulation now is a lot less deadly than the virus that was in circulation in January. The unpredictability of the mutations means it could become 10 times deadlier by 2022. And it could also mutate and become not much more dangerous than a flu in a couple of weeks. So yeah, we really have no clue where this is going. The uninformed public was also much less vocal, however. Case in point, I work at a COVID-19 test site that relocated to the local fairgrounds, so we could accommodate larger patient loads. Today, it's in one of the buildings we don't use, but is within throwing distance of the tent we swab in. A bunch of people had an anti-mask wedding. There were about 60 people trying to do unmasked wedding photos within passing distance of a test site. This went on until the county public health director called the sheriff's department to break it up. The result? They were told they had to stay in the floral building. I wonder how many of these p's, most of whom were verbally abusive and physically threatening some of the staff, will be coming back next week symptomatic. I wonder how many of these p's, most of whom were verbally abusive and physically threatening some of the staff, will be coming back next week symptomatic. I'll probably be downvoted just for thinking this, but I wouldn't have any sympathy if it were all of them. I know. They might have kids and mothers and whatever, but it's just so hard to feel bad for people who willfully go out of their way to beeps and act recklessly and endanger theirs and their loved ones' lives. If someone died in a car accident, I'd feel for them. But if someone goes out, drinks and gets drunk and then drives? Sorry, no sympathy. I'll upvote you. I wish we could have had them all sign a waiver saying they would refuse all life-saving treatment. But unfortunately we can't do that in healthcare. This was a relative of a congressman in my area, or it would never have been allowed to happen. Guess which party? I don't want to meet, because I'm scared of corona. She's right outside my window. Oh god, she has a knife. She's in the house and wanting to socialize. It's corona spreading superstar Shia LaBeouf. Wait, he has no mask. She a surprise. He's breathing right in front of your head. There's germs in his eyes. Oh god, there's germs. Germs everywhere. Hey, I really want to hang out, but I'm worried about the coronavirus. If they're really your friend, they'll respect your opinion. Then maybe suggest doing something like a Zoom conversation or online game. My friends and I meet on Zoom every week now. Sometimes we all start the same movie at the same time. Sometimes we play games. We were all learning how to cook a dish together a few weeks ago. There are tons of options to get people together without seeing them in person yet. Opus. The problem is when all your friends are meeting in person together, so the Zoom calls stop, but you're still inside alone. I suggested hanging out on Zoom instead of going to their house and they responded back, quote, "I'm so bored of Zoom," like. Cool. But I'm not bored of living. So. I'm 76. And I tell my family that I have maybe 3 or 4 years left and I don't want to spend them dead. I don't know if the math checks out, but I approve the attitude. Be honest. It's okay to be scared of the disease. If they don't understand that, that's on them. You gotta put yourself first when it comes to corona. Learning to advocate for my/your own health was very tough, but the rewards are limitless with effort. I've had to tell my friends several times that despite wanting desperately to hang out with them, that I'm still paranoid about the virus and I don't want to risk getting my mom sick, so I've been staying self-isolated. I work in healthcare. Be cautious. We have regular meetings and emails where our doctors keep us up to date. There's so much we still don't know. I almost died earlier this year and was maybe still am immunocompromised. I've chosen to self-isolate as much as possible. I recently had a coworker acquaintance harass me about visiting me. She knows my situation, but continued to insist it was okay for her to visit. I've never invited her over for various reasons. It got so bad that I had to block her. My elderly disabled mom tested positive for COVID-19 a week later. We aren't sure who infected her, and she's currently in isolation. You can never be too careful. How is your mom doing? We have a hard time getting updates, but as of Thursday she's doing okay. I'm not really sure about the pneumonia COVID-19 caused. She's got underlying health conditions, so I worry. My best wishes for her speedy recovery. Thanks for getting back to me. I have sworn an oath of solitude until the pestilence is purged from the lands. This is my favorite. Just tell them the truth. If they really are your friend, they should understand that. And if they freak out and flips on you, then maybe this was the wake-up call you needed, that this person shouldn't be your friend anymore. I have cut ties with one friend during the lockdown because of this. She didn't freak out, but she got snarky after I turned down her request to meet in a park for a walk. Then she became very weirdly passive-aggressive. I had been having issues with her before the pandemic, and realized I just had no interest in dealing with her weird personality anymore. My opinion of several members of my family has changed for the worse since COVID hit. It's also why I'm not going to a wedding in a month or two, because the people running it don't take it seriously enough for me. I also don't want to spend the event keeping my toddler from licking everything. My cousin's wedding was scheduled to be on the beach in Florida in October. I got my invitation a Zoom invitation. I love that they kept their date and found a way for us to share the day with them safely. A few of us have autoimmune diseases, so it's really thoughtful. My guess is they are still gonna have the wedding on the beach, but with 20 or less people. Seconding the honesty. I have to be really cautious right now because I'm seeing my parents often / elder relatives often / live with elder relatives / etc. And then pivot it. But I'd love to have a FaceTime where we drink and watch this show that I've wanted to watch for a while / where I tell you the story about this thing that happened to me the other day / and we can plan a list of things to do and places to go when this is all over, so we'll have something to look forward to. And my guess is, a lot of people feel pressured to not show any fear. You're more in the majority than you probably think. Good luck. And good on you for being safe. You're being rational and responsible. The pivot is important. Hearing no makes it sound like they don't want to hang out with you. The pivot makes it sound like they do, just not in the way you proposed. My coworkers have made fun of me for my caution level, but ultimately, 3 of them have gotten sick, and I don't want to join them. I'm in much worse health than they are. Good for you. Stick with your gut. A very apt question here, and one we deal with every other day. So I simply state, my wife volunteers, and her friend died from it, and another was hospitalized, and we are being cautious. Works like a charm. Months after my wife was exposed, a couple visited to buy a car and declared, "We are from a little town, and don't worry about this, as there are few cases." I responded with the above quote and they moved away, like I shoved them. Worked like a charm. And they bought the car. Easy one for me. My wife works at an urgent care and sees covered patients all day. I'm an exposure risk. Whilst you're one of my very favorite disease vectors, I'm going to have to say no. I've had to do it quite a bit lately. Most recently this past week, when a friend came to town from another state. They usually stay here. I told them as much as I miss you and would love to see you. I have people that depend on me and I cannot afford to get sick or get them sick. We'll have to catch up each other another time. They were offended, and honestly I don't give a flying F. I'm not risking my life or others because your feelings are hurt. Suggest another drink. I'll be here all week. Be dumped. Cough heavily over the phone. Just tell them, maybe use the word wary or concerned instead of scared. The fact is that a lot of people are being very complacent, people mingling in groups, pub tables full of drinkers elbow to elbow. They risking making themselves sick, and or making others sick, and you don't want to be one of them. Remember, you might be carrying corona and not even know. You might make someone else sick, or kill them, without ever falling ill yourself. And a lot of it is not so much about fear as about doing our part to stop the spread. I like to cut down on the carbon emissions I cause, not because I'm afraid that my house will be flooded by global warming, but because I don't want to risk worsening the problem that will flood other people's houses. Similarly, I cut down on the exposure I have with other people, not because I'm worried that I will get badly sick, but because I don't want to risk being the one that spreads the virus from one person to someone else who is very vulnerable. Do you have a close family member who, while they don't currently have COVID, is in at least one of the groups most at risk? If so, say something to the effect of this family member is in this group of people most at risk for COVID, and you're deciding to be more cautious than normal to protect them. Using the same words you'd use to refuse unprotected sex with someone you knew had other partners. If someone is willing to violate basic biosafety with you, they're also willing to violate it with other people. I just don't feel comfortable with it. And then leave it. Do not give a reason, because they will argue. Oh come on, it's just this once. Dude, it's not that bad. It's just a cold. Don't be such a wuss. Are you saying I have disease? Every bottom who doesn't have HIV knows how to do this. It's not that hard. I agree with this, but was picturing someone taking this advice too literally, and it gave me a giggle. Hey, my mom's cooking me dinner to celebrate me getting into grad school. Wanna come over? I'm not getting near your syphilists without protection. I know what you've been up to. What? Nassies. Corona. Love you thopes. If they're a real friend they will understand. It's a pandemic. Be honest. My friend had a party planned before COVID, but was occurring in late June, and I told them I no longer wanted to go in fear of the virus. They did get mad, but I believe I was in the right. It also made me realize how pss of a person they were anyway. I was afraid of exposing my family, myself, and if I was unknowingly sick I could expose them. It was a small inconvenience for a bigger cause. My grandparents rely on me during this pandemic, and I can't risk it. Even if they didn't, I knew I couldn't go cause I have to do my part in attempting to stop the virus. Especially here in USA, where every single person really has to count right now. Just be honest, it's okay. I work at Target and the amount of people that are having birthday parties and baby showers in person is alarming to me. People come in and buy gifts and cards and I start casual conversation with them and ask if they are going to a party and they say yes. This started happening the day the quarantine was lifted. It's so scary to me. All the people who had put off parties just started having them again, as if everything was back to normal. It's really scary to see, and then they ask why aren't cases going down. But I hope you're staying safe while at work. Thanks for everything you do. I know not many people appreciate those in retail and things a lot right now, but to me you're doing a lot right now. Can't go outside. Air is haunted. Piss off. I don't wanna catch corona. Keep her luncutis to herself. Begone, plague bearer. Here's a message I sent when friends recently invited me to hang out. Low-key yes but no because of COVID. I know the chances of getting COVID are super low, but I would feel really stupid if I did get it. Also both my parents are essential workers, so I could get it from them any day and not know until symptoms started, and I would feel really stupid if I spread it to people because I wanted to hang out with at a lake. Thanks bro. Have fun. And I should also stress that I don't think you guys are stupid for going. I just wouldn't feel comfortable if I went. My friends were super understanding and cool about it. I'll see you guys when that vaccine hits. Don't have too much fun without me. Be honest. Otherwise you'll have to keep thinking of ways to hint at it again until they finally just think you don't want to meet up. Suggestions for other ways to interact. Video chats. Phone calls. Text games. I'd like any except what I call the alphabet game. You have to text back and forth words that start with a, B, C, so forth. But you pick a category. So like, things that make you happy. You'd text maybe backquote acapella R&B music. They'd text backquote baby bunnies in baskets extra points for alliteration. So forth. Go on walks in the woods and then have them do the same trail and later talk about what you saw. Be pen pals. Find Zoom groups for hobbies. I've learned and met a lot of people by going to conferences, panels, meetings, etc.